Leslie, for that person that is in a relationship
Right.
where he or she may not be married to a Christian person. It could be a situation like yours where one of you actually had a relationship with Christ and the other didn't, or it could be whatever the circumstances. What would you say
Right.
to that believing spouse with respect to relating to and praying for
Right.
the unbelieving spouse?
There'd be three things I would say. First of all, allow yourself to grow in your relationship with Christ. Just keep in the Word, do studies, try to grow and allow Him to turn you into the person He wants you to become, because your spouse will see the changes. I never saw those changes particularly, but Lee did, and it made an impact on him. Secondly, I'd say grow your relationship with your husband or your spouse, because you got married for a reason. You love that person. You want to build on that relationship. You want to not allow them to think that you love them less or think less of them because they aren't a believer. So you want to build your relationship with your spouse. Thirdly, I'd say if there's any way possible, get a mentor. I had Linda, and she's the woman that led me to the Lord. But if there is someone that is trustworthy and able to be a shoulder to cry on when you're struggling and maybe having arguments or something with your husband or questions, but they aren't the kind of person that will gang up on your husband, and it won't be just you and your friend against your husband, but it'll be someone who will take the time to listen to you, but then be able to give you good godly wisdom on how to navigate that era and those situations, so that at least it's a sounding board, but you can go home and not feel like you're in it with a lot of animosity. You can go back to your home feeling love for that person and wanting to just pursue them.
Well, Lee, you were a journalist. You were with the Chicago Tribune.
Right.
You were the legal expert. You did basically legal work.
Right.
But you were, if I can describe you, as an investigative journalist.
That's right.
Once Leslie had come to faith in Christ, you set out on a journey as an investigator to collect evidence to basically disprove what Leslie believed in.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that the more that, as the story goes, the more you investigated, the more you found things that you did not want to find.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, it's interesting that Christianity is unusual among world religions in that it invites investigation. Because it was very clear to me, if you want to disprove Christianity, you can do it if you can disprove the resurrection. Apostle Paul says in 1 Corinthians 15:17, if Christ has not been raised, your faith is futile. So that's the key issue. Did Jesus return from the dead and thus authenticate his claim to being the Son of God? Well, I thought I could disprove it. But what I found is the historical evidence for the resurrection, for the early accounts, too early to be mere legend, for the empty tomb that even the opponents of Jesus admitted was empty, to the 9 sources we have inside and outside the New Testament that confirm and corroborate the conviction of the disciples that they encountered the resurrected Jesus. There is a strong historical case to be made that Jesus not only claimed to be divine, but he backed that up by returning from the dead. And that's what I ultimately discovered through my investigation.